and Don Staley and all those folks that Cheryl Reeve, who had a hand in Caitlin Clark not making Team USA last year in the Olympics. It looks like they may be now. Cheryl Reeve's still there, but
let's be honest. There is growing worry that Team USA and the WNBA media establishment are afraid of Caitlin Clark. And why wouldn't they be? The same individuals who attempted to keep her out are now witnessing their own influence wane more quickly than a missed layup. Sue Bird just completely transformed the game, so I can assure you that things will get messy. The WNBA elite, who prevented Clark from competing in the Olympics, are not handling the demise of their small social club well, so let's dissect this complete breakdown.
I'll tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to allow that.
Can we just like call a spade a spade? Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing.
Sure.
This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you. And once again, for so long, as a player, I would almost joke. I'd be like, I would have loved to have shut up and dribble. In so many ways, I would have loved to have been valued as a basketball player. I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play.
And let's not even pretend that Clark's lack of experience was a reason for his exclusion from the Olympic squad. That was an outright lie. It was all about politics and favoritism. Subbird was formerly a member of that inner circle. This time, however, the gate was blown wide open as the same stale old guard attempted to maintain gatekeeping during yet another Olympic cycle. However, you know what? With a single person in control of everything, Squad USA's new organizational structure is similar to that of the men's squad. Sue Bird is that one individual.
I meant to say, we roll in the Olympics every year. We can afford having, someone who's the 20th best or 24th best instead of the 12th best because of what it would potentially do to grow the game. That's legitimate. And I also think that door somewhat got open brew by Diana Taurasi's inclusion. So Diana, we can show you their numbers. They're having a shockingly similar season. So points and rebounds basically identical. Field goal percentage is identical. Caitlin has way more assists and way more turnovers to go along with it. Diana has very few assists, very few turnovers. So Caitlin's not yet in her prime.
Even more bizarre is the fact that Sue Bird publicly supported Clark while the other old heads were too preoccupied with clinging to the past. Let's be clear now. Sue may have some intriguing political ties. Megan Rapinoe, we see you, but in terms of basketball, she has always been brutally honest. And she knew that when Caitlin Clark was passed up for Paris 2024, she should have been wearing red, white, and blue. The supporters weren't the only ones who went insane. The NBA's actual commissioner, Adam Silver, stated publicly that it was a grave error. This isn't just any fan on Twitter. The Olympic Committee is being called out by the most influential voice in the basketball world.
Won 4 WNBA championships. She was an All-Star 13 times, one of the more decorated basketball players in history, and also 5-time Olympic gold medalist. Just named USA Basketball Women's National Team Managing Director. That's a hell of a title there. Is that on your business card? And what exactly does that mean, Sue?
Need like a business index card at this point or whatever. Managing director, it's basically what Grant Hill did for the men's team, so like a GM.
He wasn't alone, either. The same thing was being said by marketing departments, basketball executives, and even casual sports commentators. The luggage was just fumbled by you. You lost a sizable audience and squandered all the enthusiasm. We had Diana Taurasi frantically looking for her vehicle keys instead of making women's basketball a worldwide success. By the way, Taurasi did very little during the most recent Olympics. 2 points in one game and no effect in another are what we're talking about. They chose this player over Clark, who is already creating more noise than the entire USA team put together. Why? Cheryl Reeve was prevented from selecting the top players by the committee, which was headed by individuals like Dawn Staley and Jennifer Rosati. They received criticism for guarding their gatekeeping medals and ensuring that no outsider could interfere with their small clique. However, Caitlin Clark's name is now abruptly back in the Olympic discourse as Subbird replaced all of its decision-making staff. Additionally, you can almost smell the fear emanating from WNBA and ESPN Twitter.
She'll probably be on the next Olympic team. Just guessing.
I mean, you know.
This is the circumstance. Sue Bird was watching Clark transform the sport while everyone else was busy berating her for missing an Olympic camp. You see, Sue Bird is not as interested in playing political games as she is in winning and performing well. Yes, it is correct. A covert handshake was not necessary for Clark to gain attention. While the old guard was busy at Team USA camp trying out for AP commercials, she single-handedly brought women's basketball back into the public on her own terms, attracting millions of spectators. Let's just examine the figures. WNBA audience records are being broken by Clark's Indiana Fever games, which are now a must-watch on TV. The league's best-selling item is her jersey. And don't worry about ticket sales. When entire competing teams have to relocate their games to larger venues in order to accommodate the fans, a player is a phenomenon. That's Clark. She wasn't prepared for the Olympics, though, for some reason. In actuality, they knew exactly what it meant, so they never wanted her on that squad. She would surpass the veterans. The biggest draw would be her. Some of their holy cows would be exposed by her. They were unable to take the chance. In order to bring home riches with Teresi, they feigned to have experience, buried her, and made up explanations. Let's be honest about what that accomplished. It cost Clark more than simply a medal. She might have lost her legacy as a result. She will have to wait an additional 4 years to begin her Olympic career without Paris 2024, which makes it nearly impossible for her to ever surpass Teresi's records. Which, let's face it, was probably the whole point. However, Subbird isn't playing their gatekeeping games, and karma moves quickly. As managing director, she dismissed the previous committee right away. Her second action involved reorganizing the entire selection process to resemble the NBA's single vision and decision-maker. Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly the primary cause of that shift. You can smell the fear, despite the WNBA media's best efforts to appear calm. The comfortable echo chamber they constructed just blew up. And those who made fun of Clark are now recognizing that their time is running out. Clark wasn't prepared, they said. In actuality, though, they weren't prepared for her. Furthermore, let's not act as though this is all about Clark. Angel Ree, Paige Bookers, and the next generation are not here to play politics. Their goal is to prevail. Even if it means relegating the established players to the sidelines. Sue Bird notices it. Adam Silver notices it. All of the gatekeepers who attempted to keep her out must now witness it as well. This is not merely a tale of a comeback. The takeover is hostile. For a year, the WNBA media apparatus has pretended that Clark isn't the biggest star in the league. They now have to watch the golden geese they attempted to imprison soar. Do you recall last summer's coded nonsense? She doesn't deserve it. She must make her payments. Are you serious? While the executives who make these awful choices sip cocktails, Clark is actually carrying the league on her back. She earned it by packing more seats than the entire league put together. Adam Silver stated as much. They made a mistake with this. She was deserving of that team. She is prepared for more than simply Team USA. She represents Team USA. The game is ended now that Sue Bird has the clipboard. Put an end to politics. There will be no more farewell tours for elderly veterans at the cost of elite sportsmen. Now, the only thing that counts is when, and choosing a 42-year-old Diana Taurasi who spent more time receiving medical care than playing was the complete opposite. In the meantime, Clark was breaking the internet with every third logo and selling out venues. However, she posed a threat to the system. She wasn't among them. The rings were not kissed by her. She was too young, too well-liked, and, worst of all, too talented. They were aware that if she entered that court, the old guard would be exposed and she would assume control. They closed the door as a result. Sue Bird, however, simply kicked it open. Not just Clark supporters are rejoicing. Everyone is tired of seeing bias hold the league back. The best player truly has a chance under this new system. Let's discuss business. The Olympic Games are a brand. They seek attention, ratings, and cultural relevance. All of that is presented on a silver plate by Caitlin Clark. To see her perform, people take flights across the nation. She is a constant source of headlines. Thus, the rest of the world is going to witness a celebrity receive the acclaim she so richly deserves, while the detractors scream on Twitter about paying their dues. It is merely basic sense to include her on the team. It is not charity. For the first time in a long time, the national team made a wise choice. And keep in mind that the WNBA as a whole wins when Clark plays. With increased media attention, sponsors, and league awareness, her limelight uplifts everyone. The control of the inner circle is finally weakening, and behind the scenes, the panic button is being crushed. Now that Clark has been selected by the fans, the system must comply. This is a revolution, not a change. Greetings from the Clark period. She can no longer be prevented from joining that team by the establishment. There are no more justifications. Sue Bird is spearheading the committee's toast. Since Caitlin Clark is already inside, they are unable to lock the door this time. The Clark 20 team. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you agree.